So when we look at the human design system, there are 9 energy centers. Each center is responsible for processing different kinds of energies. We talk a lot about conditioning in the centers and openness. As I go through this material, I'm going to talk about the theme of the center. I'm going to talk about kind of what tends to happen or what question you need to be asking yourself if you have a center open. But just because the center is open doesn't mean that you're not going to have challenges or adventures with it. Sometimes the defined centers also give us challenges and adventures. So in your student section, in accordance with this and along with this, you should have a list of affirmations for open centers. So go through those and find your open centers and find the affirmations for your open centers. You should find a list of affirmations for your defined centers. And then there should be a list there that's a list of questions for your open centers particularly. Wherever we have openness or wherever you have anything white on the chart, remember that's where you take energy and information in. And it is a way that you do become conditioned, because what happens is in your openness, you take energy and information in, and you don't just take it in, you amplify it. And you're experiencing it in a lot of different ways in an amplified way from others, because that's how you experience others in the world. Your openness by center actually creates predictable behavioral patterns that can oftentimes create hiccups in the way in which you come to understand yourself and who you are. We oftentimes get confused by our openness because we're experiencing the energy of openness so intensely, because it's amplified energy. We think we are our openness, or we behave in such a way that we have predictable patterns around our openness that take us away from being the truth of who we are. So as I go through this material, I'm going to give you a question to ask yourself if you have a particular center open, and then I want to give you a quantum definition of the purpose of the centers in your chart. So let's get started, because at the very end of this, I want to weave this all back together in a way that helps you understand how each of these centers, when they're reflecting and experiencing their quantum potential and their quantum mission, how all of these energy centers play together to facilitate your capacity to trust in source and to access your true abundance, to calibrate the heart resonance field that is living within you so that you can draw into your reality experiences that reflect deeper, richer, and higher meanings about who you really are. The head center. The head center is the center for inspiration. It is the place where the personality crystal sits. It's where we connect with the quantum realm. It is, because it's all about questions. The gates of the head center are all about questions. When you have the center open, because it's also a pressure center, you can sometimes have a tendency to take in other people's questions or to feel pressure to answer other people's questions. And we sometimes think that's inspiration, but it's not. It's just other people's questions. This center is very, very important in the quantum creative process. So the quantum purpose of the head center is to use inspiration and possibility thinking to trigger imagination and the creative frequency of energy. Okay? To use inspiration and possibility thinking to trigger imagination and a creative frequency of energy. This is a place where you are designed to be inspired and then ask questions and use those questions as a springboard for your imagination and creativity. The ajna. The ajna is the center for concrete thinking. Remember, this is where your earthly thinking happens. This is where the design crystal lives. This is the energy center that is responsible for translating inspiration into earthly energy. So if you get an inspiration or you see something out in the world, I'll give you an example. My husband is an architect. You know, he walks into an office. He has an office at the other side of the house. He has 3 rooms in his office. I see 3 rooms with white walls. He sees the possibility of this very elaborate desk system, right? That's his inspiration. And I think, well, that's a cool desk system. How does that happen? And he knows how to create and build a desk system. The information that he needs to know how to work the saw, how to measure and do the things that he does to put things together and drill things into the wall. That information is stored in his ajna. That is data that helps him navigate the earthly plane. It is also the place where we are designed to experiment and explore possibilities, where we have our imagination. We tend to try to use the center to be certain about things. We think we have to be certain. As soon as I'm certain, I'll be able to fulfill my life purpose. You're already fulfilling your life purpose, even if you think you don't know what it is. Okay, you don't need to be certain. You need to know how to translate inspiration into form. You need to know how to be imaginative, because if you're imaginative, the rest of the details handle themselves if you know how to tap into the feedback loop and let the feedback loop show you the how. Okay? But oftentimes when we have an open ajna, we are under pressure to try to figure things out, and we distract ourselves from the feedback loop because we're too busy thinking about what we think we should be figuring out. The quantum purpose of the ajna is to translate inspiration into potential third-dimensional applications and to imagine possibilities. Imagine possibilities, not go do them. Imagine possibilities for the purpose of stimulating a creative frequency of energy. The purpose of your mind is simply to create a frequency of energy. I will weave all of this together in a way that's very clear when we're done going through this all. The throat center. If you are a generator, projector, or a reflector, your throat, your words, your being needs recognition to be heard. It's a really, actually beautiful thing, even though I know some of you bemoan it. Because what happens is when you wait for people to recognize you, to hear you, it means you're not wasting your energy flagging down just any old person, jumping up and down and waving your hands in front of them, trying to get them to hear you. It's a powerful way for you to conserve your energy so that you can serve in your right place when the timing is right. The throat center is the center for manifestation into action and manifestation into words. It's also the center for communication. The quantum purpose of the throat center is to use language in an empowering, loving, and creative way to stimulate and initiate sustainable, abundant possibilities. To use language in an empowering, loving, creative way to stimulate and initiate sustainable, abundant possibilities. The G center is the center for love and direction. It is the place where we hold the energies for self-love and self-acceptance and love and acceptance of others. And whether it is defined or open, I would throw down the gauntlet and say all of you, if not 99.9% of you, on some level, struggle with or question your love worthiness. This is what happens when we don't use this energy center correctly, or when we're still in the youthful part of our earthly journey. The quantum purpose of the G center is to give direction to love, sustainability, leadership, release, empowerment, spirit, embodiment, natural order, compassion, and peace and it holds the magnetic resonance field of the magnetic monopole, which I will tell you about in a minute. So your G center is responsible for maintaining the resonance field of the heart, and it regulates and synchronizes and calibrates the magnetic resonance field of the heart, or your attractive capacity to draw into your life things that are in vibrational harmony with your frequency of energy. Bear with me, because I promise I'm rolling this all together into a big picture. Your will center is the center for value. It's the center for willpower. It is ultimately about the differentiated self, your quote unquote ego, which I don't like to use that phrase because I think we get confused about what that means. It's your personal self and the value of who you are in the context of the whole. Most of us have the center open. Most of us are in some way, shape, or form struggling to prove our value, either to ourselves or to others. The quantum purpose of the will center is to align us with sustainability, community, truth, and value. The spleen. Spleen is the place where we carry our survival instinct and the energy for health and wellness, our immune system, which, by the way, your immune system is kind of part of your survival, right? Try living without one. It's not fun. Okay, so your spleen tends to try to gather to itself things that stay consistent and stable, because the spleen likes everything to kind of stay the same, because then you can predict what's next and you can survive, right? So when you have an open spleen, there is a tendency to hold on to energy for longer than is good for you. This is the place where we hold fear, and we get confused about the purpose and the function of fear as we are in this overlay between the solar plexus mutation and this movement away from fear-based intuition into love-based awareness. The quantum purpose of the spleen is to give us the intuitive impulses about right timing for survival, health, wellness, and economic action. We are attuned to timing. And the spleen, when we use it correctly, gives us the inner intuitive pulse to know, okay, now the time is right to take action. Or now is the time for me to do what I need to do to take care of my body. Or what I need to do to survive. It's interesting that the energy for business and the energy for survival are kind of in the same place. Because sometimes, especially those of you who are trying to have a business by yourself, how it feels like you're going to die if you do it, right? The emotional solar plexus. Emotional solar plexus, when it's open, we are emotionally empathic. And we feel other people's emotional response to our actions. And so oftentimes when it's open, we tend to cultivate behavioral patterns that are about pleasing other people or avoiding things that are complicated or messy or uncomfortable. We don't like to deal with truth or consequences. If it's defined, because the defined solar plexus operates in waves and you have your own inner emotional energy, the struggle for the defined solar plexus is finding clarity in an ever-changing wave of emotional energy. The quantum purpose of the emotional solar plexus, and this is what we're moving towards strongly right now, is the ability to hold the frequency of energy of abundance and faith. This is where we store the frequency of abundance and faith. This is our most creative energy in the chart. Not the sacral, the solar plexus. The root center, when it is open, is a pressure center. It is the pressure to get things done. It puts us under adrenaline pressure when it's open, and we oftentimes struggle to get things done because the pressure ungrounds us. And it's very difficult to be creative when you are not grounded. So oftentimes when it's open, you're struggling to get things done so you can relax, to be free. But the thing is, if you have an open root, it never actually happens. It's kind of a myth. You never really feel like, okay, I got it all done. Because you have this ever-expanding to-do list, right? So the open root center struggles to get things done so that they can be free. The defined root has pulses. It tends to operate when the timing is correct, when the outer circumstances indicate that it is time to take action. But we are deeply trained to override our internal impulse around timing. And so sometimes, even if your root center is defined, you override the timing and burn yourself out. You make yourself go to work even if you're not able to because you don't have the energy for it, for example. The quantum purpose of the root center is to receive and respond to what the earth needs and wants as part of the evolution of the planet. This is where you interface with feedback loop. Back to the creative process. So write this down. What needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought to my awareness for me to live the highest expression of my fill in the blank center.
And Karen, did we do the sacral center?
We didn't. We did, but we didn't. It was in the slides, but I skipped it. Sorry, I was bending time again. The sacral center. The sacral center is the center for workforce and life force energy. When it is open, you're taking in all this buzzing, humming workforce, life force energy and struggling sometimes to know when enough is enough. That's the biggest challenge of the sacral. It is designed to respond when you have it defined, which means you're not here to push the sacral, you're here to respond with the sacral and let the feedback loop tell you what and when you need to do in accordance to how good it feels, how in accordance to how your sacral responds to the opportunity. The quantum purpose of the sacral is to respond with action to the needs of others and to support the evolution of community and the expression of abundance and compassion. All of you have all 9 centers. All of you have all 9 of these purposes. It's just the way in which you implement these purposes will vary depending on whether your center is open or defined. So what needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought to my awareness for me to live the highest expression of my fill in the blank center. So let me weave this all together for you. Let's talk about the mechanics of activating your quantum potential. So here we have you at the moment of your conception, right? Or maybe 8 hours before. At the moment of your conception, your father's energy called forth your design crystal, which contained the story of your life, including your physical form, including your genetic lineage, including your life circumstances. At the same time that your design crystal was called forth, it was partnered with a magnetic monopole. A magnetic monopole, by the way, for years and years and years, Ra taught about magnetic monopoles, and scientists said, no, they don't exist. We actually discovered magnetic monopoles about 3 months ago in England, in the UK. So there is now officially, according to scientists, a thing called a magnetic monopole. One of those things that Ra predicted, and I went, yeah, right, is now actually true. Ra also predicted, by the way, that scientists would discover that a magnetic monopole is responsible for gravity. And science is actually getting a lot closer to that theory becoming fact. And in fact, if you go back to the very beginning when I showed you the heart resonance models, and I said the universe has the heart resonance torus pattern, right? And when we look at the earth, it has a magnetic resonance torus pattern. and your own individual heart has a magnetic resonance pattern, it makes sense that the magnet in there is creating the same kind of magnetic resonance field. So this magnetic monopole, partnered with the design crystal, migrated into the cell of your body. The magnetic monopole eventually takes up residency in your G center. So at the moment of your birth, prior to that actually, your magnetic monopole is residing in your G center, the center for love and direction. Magnetic monopoles, by the way, can only attract. They only have one pole. It's attractive. It doesn't repel. Doesn't have the two sides of a regular magnet. It's just a pulling, attracting force. So it only attracts, it's a unifying energy in the heart. It aligns us with the earthly program or the story of life. And as Ross said, scientists will eventually discover that a magnetic monopole is responsible for gravity. So here's the big magnet. Here's the little magnet. This comes from measurements taken by the Institute of Heart Math. When we look at the mechanics of heart resonance, meaning when we look at how do we calibrate the heart and the electromagnetic field of the heart to attract into our lives things that are in sync with our energy vibration, we have to look at the pattern that emerges from these channels. Now, I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to show you this. Don't go into this, oh my God, I don't have this gate, or I don't have this channel. You have all of this. You do have a heart center, and you do have the ability to attract, okay? And you do have the ability to calibrate, synchronize, harmonize, calibrate your heart to attract into your life in accordance with your vibration. It starts like this. You go out into the world with your lovely little root center and you experience something on earth. And you go, wow, that was a terrible experience. I don't ever want to do that again. And your mind goes, I wonder what other kinds of experiences I could have that might be better than this, okay? You ask a question. That's the 61, 63, and 64, your pineal gland, and your interface with your human self and your quantum self connecting to the quantum field, right? Asking a question. And while that question is being seeded in the quantum field and ultimately becoming manifested in your reality, you are fantasizing and imagining and being super ultra creative. Let's pretend it's Saturday morning and you wake up and you don't have to go to work today and you can lay in bed for an extra 15 minutes and fantasize about what else is possible in my life. What else could I be doing? What might be some things I could enjoy having in my life experience? Go back to the think of your mother thing. You start imagining things, and that imagination starts to trigger in you, in your brain, the creation of neuropeptides and neurotransmitters that then stimulate an emotional frequency or an emotional, physiological, emotional response, right? We're moving down from the head to the solar plexus. That emotional response then calibrates the heart center, the will and the G, which in tune synchronizes, harmonizes, and calibrates the magnetic monopole, which then attracts into your reality experiences that match the resonance field that you're creating. The meanings that you have about archetypes like money, relaxation, vacation, all neutral ideas without meaning, right? The meanings that you have around food, shelter, the meanings that you have around peace, sustainability, the meanings that you have, you carry based on your conditioning will influence what kinds of things you imagine in response to possibilities that you're inspired by. So for you to create a reality that you really love and you want to be living in, you have to consciously cultivate meanings around archetypes that match what you really want to be experiencing. So you start to have imaginations around meanings. So it looks like this. You think about money and you're laying in bed thinking about money. You can either think about, wow, I'm really looking forward to saving for my next vacation to Spain. It's going to be so fun. I'm so grateful that I get to have this opportunity and that money is coming to me to support this adventure that I'm really looking forward to having. Or you can lay in bed freaking out about money because you have a whole different set of meanings around money. Either way, that thought form is triggering a neurotransmitter response that's creating an emotional vibration that's calibrating your heart and your magnetic monopole and attracting into your life in accordance to that vibrational offering. Okay, your inspirations calibrate your emotions with calibrate your heart. So here's again how it all works. Your head and your ajna stimulate imagination and possibility, which stimulates your emotional solar plexus, which carries a frequency of energy that is in alignment with the meaning you give your imaginative inspirations, which then aligns with your sense of self-worth and lovability, your will and G center. 2, calibrate your magnetic monopole to attract into your life things that are in alignment with the frequency of the energy you are holding, to attract into your physical world things for you to respond to with your root center, your sacral, or your spleen. And then you begin again. Your head and your ajna then stimulates your imagination, the possibility, which stimulates your emotional solar plexus. Is this making sense to everybody? So if you want a recipe for setting higher intentions with your heart, number 1, ask questions. Always, constantly. Number 2, relax your mind and open your pineal gland. Use your intuitive listening and awareness. Maintain a high emotional frequency to align your monopole. That means watch what you expose yourself to. Take care of your emotional ecosystem. Stay walking in beauty. Align with archetypes that are creative, delicious, restorative, joyful. It's not ignoring the world. You're not letting the world down if you stay happy and aligned with creativity. It's you holding the space of aligning what else is possible on this planet. Incubate and wait, and don't wait by pacing and tapping your fingers impatiently on your desk or banging your head on the wall. Go do something fun while you're waiting, and then see what shows up. Be grateful and maintain your focus. Realign, create an identity about yourself that you love. Recalibrate yourself with the energy of love. Rest, recreate, resource, begin again. This is a cycle that repeats over and over and over again. You'll never get to a plateau where you're like, okay, that's it, I'm done. Manifest it all. The minute you did that, the minute you do that is the minute you get to try out a different incarnation. Use the mind to question, not answer. Use inspiration and imagination to stimulate an emotional vibration. Your emotional vibration synchronizes with the magnetic monopole of the heart, which then attracts. See what shows up in your outer world in response to your vibration. If you like it, ask for more. If you don't like it, ask for something different. Think sufficiency, not overabundance. You are always supported in having everything you need to fulfill your life purpose. It's in the chart. It's in your hardwiring. It's in your blueprint. Think sustainably. We cannot create a sustainable world if we are burned out personally. So take care of your energy and become sustainable so that you can create sustainably. Stay hopeful, awash in beauty, nurture yourself, stay tuned to truth. Have faith even if you can't see it. Stay grateful, focus on what is working, watch the sunrise and the sunset for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's beautiful. Number 2, calibrate your pineal gland. Eat vegan or as close as you can. If that feels correct for you, if it doesn't, don't do it. But if you can, go for it. Go outside regularly and minimize your exposure to electrical energy. Work on the subtle body and the physical level, meaning take care of your body and take care of your energy field. Go get healing therapies that work well and support your energy field. Let go of how you think everything should look and stop trying to figure it all out. Decondition, decondition, decondition. EFT is great for that. So is the quantum alignment system. Question everything. I said that already. Distract the mind with beauty, breath, meditation, movement. Yoga especially has been scientifically shown to really work well. Shift your awareness, embrace your design and your openness, love with all your heart, and remember that you have a very unique and powerful role in the evolution of the world. This world is doing exactly what it's doing because you're in it. If you weren't in it, we wouldn't be doing the same thing. I would like to have you guys do one more writing exercise. What needs to be healed, released, aligned, and brought to my awareness for me to live the highest expression of my whatever center you want to pick. I want you to understand something incredibly important. If you look at the entire cosmos and you look at where you're standing in the entire cosmos, there is no one else like you in this entire cosmos. You are a once in a lifetime event. Your soul has never been married to your design crystal. Your soul has never been in that life story you're living. This life story that exists on this planet has never been occupied by this soul. It's an incredibly unique, incredibly precious experience. If we took you off the cosmic plan and put you, I don't know, somewhere else in another universe, the cosmic plan as it is right now would not exist. That's how important you are. Every single one of us on this call, every single one of us on this planet is the way that we are, is who we are because you exist. Don't ever forget how important you are to the entirety of the spectrum of humanity and the cosmic plan. You have intentionally and deliberately occupied this space and time, this meaning, this collapsed quantum potential, this once in a lifetime event, because you're here to serve a very important part of the evolution of the planet. Thank you for being who you are and for doing what you do and for coming here at this very important time. Thank you for adding your light to the light of the world and for adding your conscious and deliberate intention to grow and evolve to the consciousness of this planet. We are who we are because of you. Don't forget it. And if you ever forget it, for whatever reason, you reach out to us so we can help you remember. Deal? All right. Be well. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. I hope I see you soon. Okay? Bye.